Joe, the crowd favorite, the Phenom, Vitor Belfort.
That's a huge left hand.
Oh, he's even hurt more. Beautiful spinning back fist here. Oh, he recovers.
And the crowd again chanting for the Phenom, Vitor Belfort.
He's hurt badly. He's down.
Oh, big connection with the left, Joe. Ground and pound 1.
It is all over. That is some nasty ground and pound right there, Mike.
Anderson, the Spider Silva.
Something I'm going to preface this Q&A with is there's one of our more popular core fan sites called Undisputed online.net. They are the UFC. And there's a bunch of core UFC Undisputed fans there, and we decided for this Q&A we were actually going to take questions from them. So these very hard knockout technical questions coming at you, Wes. Hopefully you're ready for that. And stay tuned for the end of this Q&A. I'm going to have some news about this nice billboard behind me here. It's we just decided right now.
I decided it for you guys.
He did.
He's giving it away. That's a good idea.
This is actually signed by a Pride and UFC legend. You might know him. His name is the Axe Murderer. He is Wanderlei Silva. I finally pronounced his name right. Thank you. But at any rate, stay tuned for the end of the video, and I'll tell you guys how we're going to be giving this away. So let's jump right into it, as we usually do. First question comes to us from the UFC. Can you stand up out of rubber guard like you could in UFC 2010?
No, you cannot. Actually, we agree with you as well. Since that is a dominant position, you shouldn't have the ability to just stand right up out of it. So we did make that change. We also felt that it was too easy to get out of certain positions, escape to standing positions. So we took a long look at the position table and made some changes to where you can escape back to standing and where you can stand up from. Obviously, the rubber guard standing up is one example. Another example, you can no longer kick off from the bottom from half guard to a standing position. You cannot no longer do a major transition from side control to stand up either. So you're going to have to work your way back to guard from the bottom to kick the opponent off, or use a technique transition, which is going to be harder to pull off, but you can do sweeps, and that'll allow you to stand back up. But no longer will you be able to do major transitions to stand up, except for the open guard.
Sounds like a good strategic design decision, right?
Yeah, it's a lot more balanced. We felt that you would get into situations as the top fighter, you work to get to this position, you pass from open to half to side, and it took you 3 steps to get there. However, the bottom fighter can just do a major transition to escape back to standing, and we didn't like that. So the bottom fighter has to work back to recover guard, get his feet on the hips, kick you off. So, cool. Except for those technique transitions, which are going to be, like I said, are going to be harder to pull off.
All right. Next question. As a person continuously spams reversal attempts, what is the max amount of stamina can they lose from it, and how significant will the stamina loss be for each flick?
Actually, this is something that is new for this. Like we've explained, we wanted to try and discourage reversal spamming. So the way that the system works, it actually doesn't take away from your overall stamina, it takes away your energy. So you can continue to, if you continue to spam it, it's going to deplete your energy all the way up until the point where you become gassed even. So once you become gassed, then it stops ticking away from your stamina. It does affect both energy and stamina, but primarily it takes away your energy and takes a small away from your stamina. But like I said, if you're spamming, it's going to be a huge disadvantage to you because you can enter the gas state. With that low energy, you're more susceptible to transitions being performed on you, more susceptible to submissions. So spamming is not going to be a viable option this year.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad we took a lot of the spamming out, obviously. Next question comes to us from Cassidy. How long does the submission battle last? Is it till there is no stamina from the attacker or an actual time limit?
That's a good question, actually. I read this one and had to put some thought into this response because it's a little technical. It basically depends on several factors. The submission game can be as long as, I don't want to give an actual number because I may be wrong here, but it varies. It depends on the position you're in. It depends on your stats. It depends on your current energy and stamina levels. It depends on the actual game itself. Basically, when you start a submission, the size of your bar as the attacker, it takes into effect those things that I just mentioned, your stats, your position, and your current energy. As the game goes on, that bar as the attacker is going to shrink. When that bar shrinks, that's when the submission game is going to be over. It could also be over by the opponent effectively staying away from you. So even if you're, as the attacker, your bar is still shrinking, it hasn't shrinked all the way, if the opponent is staying away from you on the HUD, the submission HUD, essentially they're filling up buckets. You're both trying to fill up buckets. As the attacker, you're trying to fill up a bucket and get the submission. As the defender, you're filling up a bucket trying to escape. It's essentially the system we had last year, but we made some modifications and brought the underlying systems in the form of the HUD to explain what's going on. So as the defender, if I'm filling up my bucket and I fill it up more than the attacker, I can escape even before your bar completely shrinks. So it varies. It's going to be something that you're going to have to pick up and play and feel. But it does vary depending on several factors.
Yeah, and I know, I mean, the submission system now that people have seen our full-length ground game video, people are getting kind of very heated about it. There's, one side that seems to love it, one side that seems to hate it, and then a lot of people in the middle. So, like you said, I mean, I really think that once people get the game in their hands and they start playing it, that they're really going to come to like it.
Yeah, I think so too. That's been the overall consensus from people that have seen it and formed opinions, and then actually have gotten their hands on it and played it. Their opinions have changed. It's because you're getting more feedback. You're understanding why you're winning and losing at all times. It's less. It's more technical than just spinning the right stick, just trying to spin it as fast as you can. There is actual strategy used to. That you can employ when you're navigating around the HUD. There's a lot of tricks that we do internally to catch people, and I think you guys will kind of see those as well too once you get your hands on it.
Cool. So leading into the next question and staying on the submission system, when a submission attempt is blocked, is there a specific animation of it attempted and stopped like a transition? Also, how many times can you block a submission? Is it tied to the transition count?
Actually, the submission, you can block a submission indefinitely as long as you're holding the grapple block, but that does leave you susceptible to being striked, and you do receive more damage while you're grapple blocking. But you can defend against the submission as long as you're holding the grapple block. It's not tied to the transition count, so there is no repeat bonus like there is for transitions. As long as you're blocking a submission, you will always block a submission. The first part of that question, yeah, there is a unique struggle animation that's played when you attempt a submission that is blocked. So you'll be able to see that your submission was blocked, as well as the energy cost. You'll see that if you have your energy, stamina and energy HUD turned on.
Cool. Next question comes to us from Razor of UndisputedOnline.net. Got to remind you guys a few times there. This has actually been a pretty popular question I've seen ever since people learned about leg kick TKOs, which is a new takedown for the game, a new TKO for the game. He asked, do leg kicks slow down the opponent or do anything other than eventually TKO them?
I'm surprised we haven't touched this in the past. Maybe we did, but to reiterate, yeah, the leg kick was something that we wanted to make more effective this year. So in addition to having the leg kick TKO, repeated damage to the legs does actually slow your fighter's navigation down. It does slow the ability or reduce the ability to effectively perform a takedown on that lead leg. And it also affects the damage done with the leg that's being damaged. Obviously, if your leg is really damaged, you try to throw a head kick with that leg, it's not going to be as powerful. Also, it is more susceptible to being submitted too. So there's several things that are affected by targeting the opponent's legs in addition to a leg kick TKO.
Awesome. You got some hefty legs there.
Not really. I have skinny legs, dude.
Gotta watch out for that. I know how to take you down in the hallway now. All right, 2 more questions here. Next one comes to us from Slasher. How much does a fighter recover in between rounds approximately, or do they at all?
That's a good question. That is a new system that we actually just got in. We're still kind of tuning that. I can't confirm the actual values because we are still playtesting that and trying to find the right amount. In previous iterations, you did not recover at all in between rounds, so this new system does allow you to recover. The actual values, I'm not quite sure what they're going to be yet, but you will be able to recover this year where you couldn't last year. So
cool.
That's the best.
That's good to hear. I mean,
yeah, that's the best answer I can give. And yeah, we've seen it does impact and make the fights go longer. I know that was one of the issues that I didn't like from previous iterations is having that threshold where you're just about to get knocked out going into the second round, doing one punch, and then you're knocked out. So you do recover some head damage. You do recover body damage as well as your stamina and energy. So there is some recovery that happens.
Well, I think for all the guys that were asking for head damage to be regenerated to some extent, this is actually this is a nice counter system to that we are getting in the game this year.
Yeah, I actually wanted, since you brought that up, I know this wasn't something we were going to cover, but I do want to mention something about that. I know you guys have asked about that. We have seen it. Unfortunately, due to time constraints and investigating what would be involved in implementing a system like this, it's just too risky to the releasing the game. Basically, we have a schedule that we have to meet, and if we were to proceed with this, it would completely rechange the balance of the game. It's something that I definitely agree with. Our previous designer that was here, I don't know if this was brought to his attention at the time or if it was something that he was considering as well. After his departure, I was made aware of this issue, and it was something that I wanted to get in and something I'd like to get in future iterations, because I definitely agree with you guys that you should be able to regenerate during the fight. I don't see why not. So it's something that we're always, considering things that we can do to improve the game, and it's something that we're going to get in there eventually.
Cool. Well, we'll put out the head regeneration DLC. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Final question. How will the complex standing feints work?
In terms of the control inputs, in terms of...
How will the complex standing feints work?
Well, in terms of the control inputs, it's basically going to be your right bumper and right trigger. You hold those together, and that's going to allow you to... Any strike that you perform will then be a feint thereafter. You can do that from standing. You can do that from ground. Found it's very useful on the ground too as well. We still have the system where you can strike cancel, so pressing a button to throw a strike and then immediately pressing a block will strike or cancel your strike. However, with the feint system, this will allow you to transition from the feint into another strike or into a takedown as well. So the blending between the feint and the follow-up strikes is a lot smoother than a strike cancel. Strike cancels, you can't really transition from the cancel into another strike. So I think, again, I know I say it a lot, but once you guys pick it up and play, you'll see and be able to experiment with the different feints and techniques that you can use. There's things that I do feints to takedown attempts, feint a takedown attempt to a strike, fake a low kick to a high kick, obviously, things like that. And then on the ground as well, feinting strikes and then doing transitions. There's a lot of areas that can be explored with this new system, and it's going to open up a lot of possibilities.
And you might feint, as this is, I think, our 9th Q&A. So you're still standing, man. You're still standing
here,
on the road to finishing the game.
Happen. Yeah.
Well, that's all the questions we got for today. I want to thank everybody from UndisputedOnline.net for submitting your questions. I hope you appreciate the answers that Wes gave. And you might be sitting there wondering about this nice autographed Wanderlei Silva billboard. So what I'd like you guys to do, what we're going to do here is leave a comment under our YouTube video here with your favorite Wanderlei Silva moment. Links to a video of his on YouTube will be bonus points. And I will, with the team, maybe here with Wes, we will, in our own opinion, select the one that we like the best. And we will award you this awesome piece of cardboard with our logo signed by Wanderlei Silva, shipped to us from Germany, from Gamescom. This is a memorabilia from our UFC Undisputed 3 set from Gamescom, from the booth. Yeah, you guys can see I'm trying to play it up. It's actually, it's cool. It's cool. So anyways, guys, once again, pre-order UFC 3, UFC Undisputed 3. We're coming out in early 2012, and you can always get more information at UFCUndisputed.com. Like us at Facebook.com/UFC Undisputed, or follow us on Twitter.com/UFC_Undisputed. And again, thank you to our friends at UndisputedOnline.net for all your great questions, and we'll see you next time.